let's talk ECR framework. So I have a framework that I've used for a couple of years. It is in the link in my bio. You can go to Classroom Printable Resources and print it out if it's something that you would like to do. So let's talk about the ECR. I'm a Texas teacher. I teach 8th grade. This will be my 25th year in the classroom, and like I said, will be the second year that I've used a framework. And my kids, well, this will be the third year I've used a framework, but I've used it for 2 years, and it is so helpful. Most of my kids, I think I have over 70% of my kids will score 5 or higher, and I have resource fed. Those that don't speak English, I have all the things, and I really do think that this is helpful, and they really thrive and rely on this framework when they're writing their ECRs. So here's the ECR, so you can get a quick look at it and what I have and how I have it broken down. And so at the top, it says, what is the question asking you? This is where they look at the prompt and they dissect the prompt. Like, what is the prompt asking you about? So I do have this Camel Mobile Library. It was a 6th grade STAAR test, I don't know, about 3 years ago. And so just for how would I use this framework, the prompt is explain how the Camel Mobile Library has affected the people of Garissa. So what is the question asking you? It's asking you about the Camel Mobile Library and how it affected the people. So how did the library affect the people? What effect did the library have, the camels coming in with the books? So that's what they're looking for when they're trying to choose their evidence and answer the question. So then the next paragraph, so that is not part of the essay, but that's where, because if they get off topic, they can write a beautiful essay and get a 0. So they have to stay on topic. And so if they'll write that at the top of their paper, what it's asking you, that keeps them from getting off topic a little bit less. And so then we're going to go into the essay. So the first box is your hook. So I teach them things that they can do for a hook or an introduction, however you want to call it. You have to have some sort of introduction. It doesn't have to be a hook for an ECR to get points at all. But I try to tell them different styles of hooks where they can ask a question, they can make a statement, they can take a fact from the story that they've read, just something to introduce it is basically what the hook is. And then the next thing is the controlling idea, your thesis, and I have them use R and A, so from races, or from race. And so the R is restate the question, and the second is the answer the question, because if they don't answer the question correctly in their thesis, their claim, it's a 0. Like, it's just a flat out 0. So I work on this part of the essay all year long. Like, I will literally give them a short paragraph and they have to do a controlling idea. They have to restate and answer the question. Restate and answer the question. So then it becomes second nature to them, like it's just a given, right? They have to answer the question, because if they don't answer the question, then it's a 0. Like, they could talk all about the camels in the library, but if they don't answer the question on how it affected the people of Garissa, it's a 0. So that's in the first paragraph, is your hook and controlling idea. In the second paragraph is your evidence. And then, so you put your quote in there. So how did it affect the people of Garissa? And so one of the evidence in this is 70% of the people of Garissa were illiterate, basically, is what one of the quotes. I've read this article more times than I can count. And so that could be one of the things. And then you're going to go, well, what does that mean? And why does that matter? So subscribe to my channel and then make sure, or follow along and make sure that you watch the next video, because I'm going to explain in detail the means and matters. So they're going to choose 2 pieces of evidence that backs up how it affected the people of Garissa. Well, with the camels coming in, the kids and the parents, they were all able to get books, and books is a foundation for learning. And if the terrain was too tough for the trucks to get in, the camels were the only way for the village to get their books. And so it affected them because it improved their literacy rates and all those things. And so they're going to answer the question with that, and then they're going to look for 2 pieces of evidence that support that claim or that controlling idea or that thesis, depending on what grade level you're teaching and what you call it. And so that's what they're looking for. So they're going to find 2 pieces of evidence, and then for each piece, they're going to say what that means, why does that matter? Next quote, what that means, why does that matter? That's in paragraph 2. 2 pieces of evidence. And then you go down to that 3rd paragraph, and that's your counterclaim. So I'll ask them when we're practicing this framework. So in 8th grade, you have to have a counterclaim. So I'm like, so when do we use a counterclaim? And they're like, well, it's argumentative essay. So is this an argumentative essay? And if they say no, then we're crossing it off. Now, if we do an argumentative essay, that's where their counterclaim is going. I acknowledge that, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to put their counterclaim there. And then the last one is the conclusion. So they're going to look to see what they stated in their controlling idea, and then they're going to look down the evidence that they chose, and then they're going to try to tie it all neatly in a bow with just one sentence. And the conclusion is. And so that's when they're going to talk about the literacy rates improving with the people of Gariza, giving everybody an opportunity to succeed, better opportunities, for their people in their village, whatever they want to say to tie it up. And so this framework really, honestly, once the kids get each piece down, and you're going to teach each piece like by itself, and once they get that down, then they're good to go. And this is a really simple framework for the kids to use for their ECRs that's not complicated, and they can do this from memory on a blank piece of copy paper by the time the STAAR test rolls around. So, happy teaching. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comment, and I'll be glad to help. I'm just a teacher trying to help other teachers. That's it. I'm not a content creator. I'm not a TikToker. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just trying to help you create the best environment for your kids, and they're successful, and you're a happy teacher, and everybody's happy, and you're working, and the kids are learning, and they're engaged. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So if you have any questions, let me know.